Hello dear energy innovators. Here's the second part of the follow-up on video 71 where I showed how I realized the thermal energy storage with heat pump as an alternative to the natural gas boiler and make my hands dirty. I will now show the remaining topics. How I dealt with the central heating circuit of radiators and the new pump. I will revisit the water boxes, the way to avoid ice formation around the evaporator and how to use the temperature stratification strategy to improve the efficiency of the heat pump. As I told, I have to make a living and would like to do that with this channel. I am very grateful for your interest that let me grow so fast in the last month. I actually started to earn a small amount of money with the ads that you see during my video. So please subscribe if you want to support me and the energy transition at home. As the COP29 conference on climate is going on in Baku, people are pushed onto the hard facts that hit every year more people and the whole ecosystem. We normal folks can have our impact and make also fun with do-it-yourself. I see in the comments remarks about commercial systems that are working perfect, but we can create systems that are different, doing things as we want it. And if we say that they make sense, improve them. Why must we always be just consumers and use other stuff, paying it with a 9-to-5 job that we maybe don't like too much? Why can't we be more creative ourselves and become more energized? If you are new to the channel, look to the new playlist with the title Replace Your Central Heating by this Do-It-Yourself Heat Pump System with Thermal Energy Storage. Here you see all videos together about this and only this system. I started it last year and there are already 11 videos. Let's dive in. Get advice in a shop where you buy the pump. I try to expose my best knowledge, but have no specific experience with central heating systems. Beware of electric shocks. There's a condenser inside the connection box. Beware of materials that can go into the pump. Ooh, what do I see here? A good pump can be opened and inspected by the user. It depends on how much power you are able to dump into the house, if like in the calculation above, at flow meter. You pump 1000 liters per hour and the delta T between supply and return is only 1 degree. Then you dump only 1.2 kilowatts, and you might ask, why are the radiators giving so little heat, or cold in the summer? That might be because the supply temperature of your water is too close to the temperature in the house. That is predictable, because heat pumps don't supply water at the usual 60 degrees Celsius or higher. Also in summer, the supply water, for example 7 degrees Celsius, is only 20 degrees Celsius below the room temperature. That is the reason that you need fans on or under the radiators. That is described in my video number 1 and much more convenient than replacing all radiators by fan coils, which cost 500 euros plus installation costs. We have 11 radiators on one floor only. They are in parallel, and the resistance of circuit should not be excessive for a standard pump. Maybe many radiators are even closed. In this case, the pump will find more resistance. Open all radiators to have the maximum possible flow. If the house is big and on more floors, a stronger pump might be needed. The best is to tell in a shop where you want to use the pump for. Our new Grundfos pump of only 30 watt maximum was special for central heating and pumped only 100 liters per hour. That would give only 1.2 kilowatt with a 10 degrees Celsius difference between supply and return. Probably the circuit of the radiator in the tank gave too much resistance, and I have to check that. Next summer you can buy a second radiator and place it in the cold water tank. The warm water radiator must stay where it is, because you can use it to extract heat for preheating water for the showers, dishwashers and the washing machine, which are still needed in the summer. When cool water goes through your radiators, it may form condensed water, and you can capture it with a tray from a garden center under each radiator. When you cut the pipes, as I did, use the pressure of tap water to push out the old water and look how clean it is. If the circuit is very old, the radiators might be of iron and are not resistant to tap water that may contain oxygen. It is good to protect it with an additive. I guess that a small, transparent container with 2 connections between tap and central heating circuit is the best way to get the additive into the circuit. Where to open the circuit? Do it before the pump, if you have the same flow meter as me, without thread. I wanted to avoid pressure and leakage. Maybe better is to create the insertion point after the pump, because I had issues with air at the pump input when closing again the insertion point after filling, and the pump would not work. Indeed, air before the pump will hinder functioning. A custom-made water box can be more suitable for this project than what I used. The best is if transparent for easy inspection, but also because it's just cool. Compact and integrated with the compressor. The water box allows you to have modular heat pumps that you can add and switch on and off. My water boxes were open, and the system with pumps and gravity are the most reliable way to have a controlled water flow. Another way is to design a closed box around the heat exchanger that closes watertight around the copper tubes. That will be not so easy. What is better to avoid ice on the evaporator, a shower or a bath? With a bath, be sure that there is constant flow through the evaporator. Note that it enters the bucket at the other side of the heat exchanger, compared to the water exit, where the water goes out of the bucket. This will create a water flow across the heat exchanger and ensure that it will not freeze. With a shower, it seems that there is a good flow through the evaporator, and supply water will also melt away the ice layers, if warm enough. Supply this water as warm as possible, so use stratification in the big cold tank and place the pump where the temperature is maximum, that is just under the surface. We will see that in more detail now. By choosing the right point of discharge and extraction, of course. Discharge water from the upper side of the hot water box to the big tank and discharge it here at the surface to have maximum stratification. This will keep the bottom of the warm tank relatively cool, so that if you return the water from there to the water box with a pump, you will have a low temperature at the heat pump's condenser. It will therefore work with a better COP. Discharge water from the bottom of the cold water box to the big tank and discharge it at its bottom to have maximum stratification. I found a trick to suck water from the bottom of the water box without draining the whole water box. It works by drawing in false air as soon as the water level goes below a certain level, by making a few holes in the extraction tube so that it will stop to draw water from the hose that goes until the bottom. But as soon as the supply tube fills the water box up again, this air entrance will be covered and the water will continue to be taken from the bottom. Also here, the gravity will avoid that the water will flow over. However, it may be a good idea to close the false air hole, emptying the water box and install a linear shower on the evaporator to avoid ice formation. Stratification in a big cold tank will keep its surface relatively warm, so that if you return the water from there to the water box with the pump, you will have a higher temperature at the heat pump's evaporator. It will avoid ice formation, especially with the linear shower, and work with a better COP. The radiator inside the warm tank will be with its upper side in the warmer water layers and cooler at its lower side because of the stratification. So, connect the return pipe of the central heating, which is the cooler of the two connections in the winter, to the lower connection of the radiator and let the water leave the radiator where the water in the tank is warmer, at the surface. In this way, the temperature profile in the radiator has the same direction as that in a stratified tank. That's better for efficiency. We will see this argument next spring because we are now in our winter house. So for now we will close the argument, but you may still be in the midst of the development of your personal system and I don't want you to leave alone. Therefore, I invite you to answer in the comments to this question. Would you appreciate an online meeting with questions and answers of about 1 hour on this subject and on all other subjects of energy home do-it-yourself? And in which language? I am not fluent in all languages that I offer in the subtitles, but in 5 of them I feel confident enough to moderate a meeting. Let me know, and if positive, we will make the next step to make Energy Home Do-It-Yourself a vibrant community. Goodbye and until next week.